How to be a jack of all trades. If you have $10 million in your bank account, but you're out of shape and you hate the way you look, then what's the point? And at the same time, if you're jacked, but you're dead broke, then what's the point? You see, the point isn't one or the other. The point is to master everything. The point is to become a jack of all trades. And that is exactly what we're going to be talking about in this video. To be the paradox, the jacked nerd, the stoic athlete. In life, you just want to be the all-rounded individual that is just living a good life, that is just on the path to success. So there are really 3 key steps we are going to be talking about in this video. So without further ado, let's begin. Step number 1, plan your life relentlessly. You see, nothing is going to work without a plan. Nothing is going to work without intention, clear focus, and becoming the best version of yourself. And the way you do that is by writing down a plan of your life. You open up a journal just like this and open up a blank page and then just write down your goals for the next 1 to 2 years. 1 to 2 years is an incredible amount of time to see insane success with your personal life, with your business, with your money, with your relationships, with your health, with anything. And these are also things we do inside the private community. Check the link below. So after you're done writing down your life plan, you need to stick by this religiously. You need to have this in front of your desk, open all the time, every single day. You need to review this every single morning when you wake up. Before you go to sleep, you need to look at this, you need to read it, you need to write it again. The same goals, just keep on going, write them again and again and again. Eventually, you're gonna find that this becomes your character. Becoming a jack of all trades is about planning your life. Obviously, if you try to do everything, you're going to be spreading yourself too thin. That is the main concern. But the truth is, most of the time, you're not going to have this problem if you plan and you set intentions for the next 2 years of your life. And I'm not going to say this stuff is easy. Real success takes real time. Real growth, real anything really takes time and effort compounded over 6 months, maybe 8 months, maybe a year, maybe 2 years. But you never know until you find out, and that is why you have to start now. So plan with intention. Plan everything you want to achieve in life on a journal like this right here. Now, step number 2 is to gamify the process. You need to really love what you do. You need to love the idea of you achieving your goal in 2 years and 4 years, because as soon as you're just indifferent about it, as soon as you just don't care that much, you're gonna fall off. You're gonna get distracted, you're gonna procrastinate, you're gonna just feel bad, feel distracted, and it's just not a good thing. But when you just like the idea of being a jack of all trades, of being the guy who's jacked, who's also super intelligent, who also reads, who's also a millionaire, who's also this, who's also that, who's good looking, who's everything, you need to fall in love with this character. You need to romanticize the process of becoming this person. That is how you achieve anything you want. That is how you make your goals impossible to not achieve. You see, the truth is, people really just complicate the process more than it should be. It's easy. You just need to do a certain number of things, take a certain number of steps, and then eventually you're gonna see compounding growth over time. And the way you gamify your process is, number 1, you need to track your habits. You need to track these things. Everything happens, your life happens. Your dream life is built on a piece of paper. As soon as you understand that nobody has achieved anything worthwhile by just following their whims and desires, by just moving with the wind, playing this guessing game, and just seeing what happens. You can't see what happens. You need to set yourself a goal and make it impossible to not take the daily steps to get there. The one way you can gamify your process, in other words, making life so fun, or making every day so fun that you don't have time to scroll, that you don't have time to waste, that you don't feel like doing bad habits, that you don't need to escape. And gamifying the process starts with a few things really, but one way you could go about it is by surrounding yourself with a community. Because if you have people around you and it's like this competition of, okay, who read, who didn't read. I mean, it sounds stupid, but it really works. How long was I able to abstain from lust compared to my friend? Compared to my group of friends? How many days in a row was I able to train? How many days in a row was I able to journal? How many days in a row was I able to meditate before I just got distracted and did something else? These are things you can track with your friends, and if you have a community, it just makes it fun. You know, if you can do it alone, but if you have a community, it makes it fun, easier, less lonely, and there is no downside. So make everything fun, and gamifying the process is also something like making reading fun. I see people who tell me, I want to start reading, and then they pick up the most boring book in the world, and they start for 1-2 weeks, and then they stop reading. And I ask them, and I tell them, what book did you choose? And myself, I'm a professional reader. I've been reading for 4 or 5 years. I've read hundreds of books, and that was a book that bored me to death. I couldn't stand that book. I didn't even finish it. So it's not about the person, it is about making the habit fun and easy and reducing the barrier to entry. If you're gonna start reading for the first time, please don't pick up a book that is boring as hell. Pick up a book that is fun to read, that is short, that is enjoyable, and you're gonna find it that much easier to read. If you're gonna start journaling as a habit, because we need these habits to build our lives. You know, I talk about micro habits like making your bed, like reading, like journaling. But the truth is, the reason why you need these things is because the way you do something is the way you do everything. If you make your bed in the morning, you're gonna just be a little bit more inclined to read extra, to journal. And if you already read and journaled, now you're gonna do something else that's good for you. It's this forward momentum, this mental model of just hacking and dopamine loading. That is what you need. You need to make these habits that you wanna do so easy that you cannot fade them. Reading. Do not read, if you're gonna start reading, do not try to read 100 pages in a single day. Just read 1 page, 2 pages, get it over with. If you wanna start journaling, start with a single page, start with a few sentences, a gratitude journal, something so easy that you could follow on a bad day. If you wanna stop scrolling, don't just stop and go from 5 hours of scrolling every day to 0. Instead, you can slowly cater down and start spending less and less time on your phone until you don't even think about it. If you want to start going to the gym seriously, you don't start by spending 5 hours in the gym and hitting the most crazy training session you've ever hit. You start by just going and showing up a few times a week, going for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and then just building up the momentum from there. You can apply this strategy. It's from Atomic Habits. Basically, it basically says that you can't start from 100. You need to start from 0, and then you need to work your way up, just as everything else. So step number 3 is something I like to call self-image hacking. This is an important and crucial concept when it comes to self-improvement and cutting bad habits, reducing distraction, and becoming the best version of yourself, or becoming a jack of all trades. So self-image hacking means one thing. So I'm gonna take 2 cards over here, right? This is the life you wanna live, the person you wanna become. And this is, believe it or not, your self-image. You know, your identity, the way you see yourself right now. And there's a gap between these 2 cards. If you want to achieve this level over here, but your self-image is over here, it's always gonna be hard. You're always gonna fall back down to your lowest systems. So what you have to do is you need to instead bring your self-image up. Start changing your beliefs. Start shifting your identity. Start seeing yourself as the person who could actually become a jack of all trades. You need to love the process, romanticize it, make the barrier to entry as low as possible, make it ridiculously easy to begin, to start, to be consistent. And that is how you win. That is how, in the next 5 years, you make the most crazy transformation. You become a jack of all trades. People are just gonna be like, wow, you know, you made such an amazing transformation. I wanna be like you. That is the goal. And it all starts with small steps. It starts with the micro things. It starts with micro planning and setting intentions for your life and being very clear and concise on what you want to achieve in a certain time frame. There is a quote that really changed the way I see everything. And this quote goes like this: be extremely rigid in where you want to go, but extremely loose in how you get there. So all in all, self-image hacking is one of the most crucial things you can do when it comes to achieving goals. As soon as you upgrade your self-image over time and you work on believing that you are capable of what you set out to achieve. If you see yourself as the person and you allow yourself to feel the feeling of the person that is already where you want to be, then you will get there. Before you take any action, you need to level up your self-image. You need to start seeing yourself in a different way. So that is how you become a jack of all trades. So if you want to learn more, click the first link in the description. Everything is explained on my website, and I'll see you in the next one. You got this.